So a little bit about the biomechanics of the shoulder joint and the anatomy. So we actually have two joints functioning here when we do it. We have the ball and socket joint, which is what we think is the whole shoulder joint. And this is a glenohumeral joint. And this is where it has the circumduction and where we feel most of the practice when we are doing it. But there's also another joint that we have involved, which is the movement of the scapula up and down the rib cage, which is the scapulothoracic joint. Now, this can also be considered a joint when we are doing it. It's really important to understand that this joint really is a very prime and important part of overhead arm extension. Because with this joint, we need to make sure the scapula is rotated 60 degrees when you do this overhead arm extension. The rest of the 120 degrees comes from the shoulder joint that we consider the most about being the shoulder joint. When we have those two combining and working well together, we get a safe functioning shoulder. When we don't have those combined and functioning together because we maybe are overstretching or we don't have the muscles activating the trapezius or the lats or any of those muscles that help us create that rotation into and upward rotation into the scapular joint, scapulothoracic joint, then what happens is we get the impingements in the front shoulders, we could get the nerve issues. So it's really important that you understand there's two joints, and to make up the 180 degrees, we have these two joints working together. And so when we go into our overarm extension, for example, bridge, we have them both functioning soundly so that we can have a healthy shoulder joint. And when we have that healthy shoulder joint, this also transfers into other movements as we practice and our everyday life to have a supportive and functional shoulder joint without the injuries or issues or tingling sensations that a lot of us do have when we are creating back bend movements or just utilizing our everyday life. So even though this is focused on creating a more healthy shoulder for back bends, these exercises are actually very functional for you to utilize in your everyday life if you are an athlete, if you are someone who does just regular fitness training, or if you're someone that has issues with the shoulder and is trying to recover them. This will help you to understand mobility and function in the shoulders, understand how to stretch appropriately, also release shoulder pain, which we all get in everyday life, even from just carrying the groceries. And things like nerve glides, which will be taught in this section, will help you get the anatomy and shoulder function correctly moving throughout your everyday movement utilization of the shoulder joint.